Welcome back, Focus Learners. I am so excited to dive right into this one with you. Today, we're unpacking George Orwell's absolutely legendary story, Animal Farm. But listen, we aren't just recounting some classic fiction tale here. This explainer is a deep psychological analysis, and together, we are going to decode the fragile nature of equality. We're going to see exactly how manipulative leaders rise to power, step by step, by exploiting the very people who trust them the most.
To really get into this, we have to start by asking a seriously terrifying question. How does a fight for absolute equality slowly turn into a system of total corruption? Well, to answer that, our narrative kicks off at a place called Manor Farm. The owner, this guy Mr. Jones, is a careless, totally irresponsible drunk. He barely feeds his animals, he rules them with just absolute cruelty. And then, one brutally cold night, Jones is so heavily intoxicated that he completely forgets to lock the animals in their cages. And you know what? That single tiny moment of drunken neglect sets the stage for a world-changing shift.
So, Section 1, A Dream of Equality, and How the Rebellion Begins. During that freezing night, a wise old pig named Old Major takes full advantage of Jones's mistake. He gathers all the animals in the barn and delivers this fiercely inspiring vision. He points out the undeniable, harsh truth of their lives. Humans are stealing all of their hard-earned labor. Humans take their milk, their eggs, their strength, and they give back only the bare minimum amount of food required to just keep them alive. He plants the seed that the animals have to unite. And shortly after, when a starving group of animals is violently whipped by Jones, well, that seed blooms into a full-blown revolution. It's a massive success. They physically chase Jones off the property, take total control, and proudly rename the land Animal Farm.
Right out of the gate, Snowball, who's this incredibly visionary pig, establishes the 7 commandments of animalism. You can see them right here. They completely reject all human vices, so no clothes, no beds, no alcohol. But the absolutely crucial foundation is that very last rule: all animals are equal. This was the absolute unshakable core of their utopian dream. Under these new rules, no single animal was ever meant to be above another.
Okay, but that brings us to Section 2, the first cracks of corruption. Apples and milk. Initially, the animals do an unbelievable job managing things on their own. Their first harvest is a huge success. But despite this initial triumph, something subtle and honestly kind of strange happens. The pigs take over the job of milking the cows, but suddenly, the freshest milk starts mysteriously disappearing. And not long after that, the farm's most delicious apples are claimed exclusively by the pigs. Think about it. The perfect equality they literally just fought a bloody rebellion for is already starting to show cracks.
What we're looking at here brilliantly illustrates the psychological boiling frog effect. We go straight from the pure, beautiful ideal of total equality to the pigs suddenly claiming, oh, actually, we need the milk and apples specifically for our brain work. They use their supposed superior intelligence to justify the very first erosion of equality. And the other animals? Well, they just let it go. They figure they probably shouldn't cause drama over a few apples, right?
And to enforce this little theft, a highly persuasive pig named Squealer steps in with a truly terrifying threat. Do you want Jones to come back? He perfectly executes the dark art of fear-mongering. By using the terrifying threat of their previous human oppressor returning to abuse them, Squealer instantly shuts down any complaints about the stolen food. The animals are silenced, not by logic or reason, but by pure, unadulterated panic.
Which leads us right into Section 3, Fear, Control, and Propaganda. Napoleon's rise. As time passes, a bitter power struggle erupts between 2 prominent pigs over building a windmill. On one side, you've got Snowball. He has this brilliant vision for technological growth and reducing the animals' work week to just 3 days. But on the other side, you have Napoleon. And Napoleon couldn't care less about growth. His entire desire is focused solely on total, unquestioned control.
Let's actually track exactly how this builds into a dictatorship, step by step. Step 1, isolate the youth. Months earlier, Napoleon secretly took 9 newborn puppies away from their mother to educate them in private. Step 2, banish the opposition. Just as Snowball is about to win a democratic vote to build the windmill, Napoleon unleashes those 9 secretly raised puppies, who, by the way, are now massive, vicious, fiercely loyal attack dogs. They violently chase Snowball off the farm forever, and finally, step 3, eliminate public debate. Napoleon immediately cancels their Sunday town hall meetings. He declares that from now on, only a select committee of pigs will be making any decisions. Just like that, democracy is gone.
Now let's walk through this timeline together to visually track this slippery slope. Look at this steady rise of corruption. It starts off so incredibly small in month 1 with just some stolen milk and apples. But by month 6, they've moved into the farmhouse and are sleeping in human beds. By month 12, they're drinking alcohol. And by month 24, the pigs are literally walking upright on 2 legs. The very behaviors they swore to destroy have become their everyday routine.
You might be wondering, how on earth do the pigs get away with this? Well, here is how we decode the fragile nature of equality. They literally rewrite history. When confused animals go to check the 7 commandments painted on the barn, the rule has mysteriously changed from no animal shall sleep in a bed to no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. Squealer uses this relentless propaganda to convince the confused animals that their own memories are flawed. He tells them, no, the rule was always like this.
And notice the grim escalation here. The most sacred rule of all, no killing other animals, is subtly corrupted to no killing other animals without cause. When animals publicly oppose Napoleon's new business trades with humans, he literally unleashes his terrifying dogs to execute them in plain sight. He rewrites yet another fundamental law to justify his own murderous corruption. We are now at Section 4, the ultimate betrayal, and Boxer's tragic fate. Amidst all this darkness, all this starvation, there's one shining beacon of innocent loyalty left, and that's a horse named Boxer. Boxer is the strongest, hardest-working animal on the entire farm. He's incredibly pure-hearted, but sadly he's totally blind to the manipulation happening around him. Whenever rations are cut or when a massive storm destroys the windmill they spent months building, Boxer's only response to the hardship is his emotional, tragic motto, "I will work harder."
The climax of Boxer's story is just absolutely heartbreaking. He pushes himself far, far beyond his physical limits to rebuild that windmill. He completely ignores his declining health until his body literally just breaks down. He collapses, suffering from a severe lung injury. The other animals are deeply distressed, right? They expect Napoleon to help him. Napoleon even promises to send Boxer to a human veterinary hospital. But then, a van eventually arrives and Boxer is loaded in to be taken away. I want to draw your attention to this stark comparison, because the irony here is just sickening. Remember Old Major's original warning from the very beginning? He prophesied that cruel humans would sell them to the slaughterer the second they lost their strength. But it isn't a human who does it, it's Napoleon. The observant donkey on the farm reads the painted text on the side of the van taking Boxer away, and it literally reads, "Horse Slaughterer." Napoleon sold his most loyal, innocent worker for profit, just to buy whiskey. The pigs have perfectly mirrored the exact human cruelty they originally rebelled against.
By the end of the story, the transformation is complete. The pigs invite neighboring human farmers over for a dinner party. The pigs are walking upright on 2 legs, they're wearing Mr. Jones's clothes, and they are drinking heavily. The starving animals look through the farmhouse window, looking from pig to human and from human to pig, and they realize they can no longer tell the difference. The original 7 commandments have been completely erased from the barn wall. In their place is only this chilling, corrupted paradox. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 5, the psychology of manipulation and 5 key lessons. While this story involves talking animals, make no mistake, this is a very real-world blueprint. This is exactly how bad actors manipulate everyday people in reality. So let's enthusiastically decode the psychology behind this so you can spot these exact tactics in your own life. Let's break down these 5 lessons nice and concisely. Number 1, fear is the easiest control tool. By constantly threatening the return of Mr. Jones, Squealer kept the animals paralyzed and completely obedient. Number 2, repetition creates belief. Squealer repeated lies about Snowball being a traitor over and over until it just felt like reality. Number 3, authority kills questioning. Once Napoleon surrounded himself with vicious dogs and grand titles, the animals were simply too intimidated to speak up. Number 4, emotional loyalty blinds logic. Boxer's pure emotional dedication completely blinded him to the fact that he was being worked to death for someone else's greed. And finally, number 5, freedom dies in small compromises. Total dictatorship didn't happen overnight, folks. It started with the slow, quiet theft of a few apples and some milk. Now, the source material points out something really profound here.
Having a high IQ isn't enough to survive this kind of manipulation. You need high EQ, or emotional intelligence. This is your ability to logically balance your emotions so you don't become an emotional fool who gets manipulated by fear or blind loyalty. The animals lacked EQ, and it allowed their passions and their fears to be completely weaponized against them. We absolutely have to develop our EQ to protect ourselves from being exploited.
Which brings us to our final, provocative thought for the day. Are you paying attention to the small compromises in your own life? Corruption rarely kicks down the front door. No, it creeps in quietly. It's disguised as a necessary exception, a minor rule change, or an appeal to your deepest fears. I challenge you to stay logically grounded, boost that emotional intelligence, and remain fiercely vigilant against the slow erosion of your own boundaries. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.